Samidhanitam Papatapanikintanam Tanamitam Govindaganamritam Anandam Buddhibharthanam Kanipanam Kaivallan Ganana Tanapadam Primamritam Panidhi
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We want to welcome everyone this morning, Saturday morning here in Eastern Canada, to our weekly sadhana program of hearing and reading the scriptures that are unedited by Srila Prabhupada from his early work in the 60s and 70s. And this is a critical part of what we do. It makes us unique in some regards to other groups who have no partiality towards what books are read or not read by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I wanted to mention further that this is a Namahatta program. In other words, we're promoting Krishna consciousness with all of our members with the hope that they will develop their own spiritual programs from their house. And in this way, they can make advancement in spiritual life as time marches on. Time is marching. As we know, it's already 2024. Who could imagine? So the program of Namahatta is, we'll discuss it in the future in detail, but it fundamentally centers around your sadhana program of chanting your rounds, of offering food to Krishna, and distributing it to others, attending classes, the classes that we conduct. We have 3 classes a week, so it's 4.5 hours of association with like-minded devotees. The reading of Prabhupada's books on your own, studying carefully. If you have any questions, of course, you're free to contact us at any time. Distribution of books. If you have some books or you want to get books, we're available so you can get books and distribute them in your local area. Prabhupada Desha. Like I've been in this area for over 52 years in the Hamilton area, preaching. Some success, a little bit. But we're encouraging everyone to take up this Namahatta program in their own particular areas globally and promote this mission of protecting Prabhupada's legacy in his books and in his teachings. So we want to thank everyone for participating, who come regularly to the classes, the readings and discussions. And by the way, I wanted to mention, we also want to thank all of the people that are sending continuous compliments for these efforts that we're making. We have hundreds and hundreds of compliments from people around the world on these programs that we've started and will continue. And we want to thank you for your support. This is very valuable. You can't please all of the people all of the time. That's for sure. We know that. But you can please some of the people some of the time. And the people that are complimenting and supporting and encouraging us, we thank you very much for your sincere participation in our humble efforts to spread Prabhupada's mission. Here in 2024, and we're going to move forward here today again with the reading of Prabhupada's diaries, which is a section that we have at the beginning of our program. The program starts to give everyone a chance to get to the class, which will begin at approximately 10:15. This is the regular schedule for us. And this is an opportunity for everyone to get some insight into Prabhupada's early days. Very important to understand this. There's a great history here in our philosophy and the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, which give you an insight into his greatness. This is not just a fill-in part of our program, but a vital part of the program to continue to help other people become educated on Prabhupada's great service, his austerities, his focus, his determination to spread Krishna consciousness, despite all criticism, despite all difficulties, and despite all setbacks, which should be expected. Prabhupada demonstrated it. Remember that. Prabhupada had many setbacks. It wasn't easy for him. So we'll go to the first page. If you could show the first page here of the book. So here it is. This is look how beautiful that is, eh? The 1966 New York Journal of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And the founder Acharya means one who teaches by example. So that's Prabhupada's position with us as Diksha and Siksha Guru for all of us. Okay, go to the next page, please. Here are the contents for your information. The introduction, the Upper West Side, January 19th to March 31st, 1966. You're going to love this, everyone, so please don't hesitate to try to come on time to get this. The Bowery, April 1st to June 30th, 1966. 26 2nd Avenue, July 1st to November 4th, 1966. Memorandum and accounts. Epilogue, the 26 2nd Avenue story. And at the end of this reading, we'll have the excerpts, the Srila Prabhupada's recollections of the times and events described in the 1966 journal. And we're going to read the introduction here. There we go. Hold on, I'll get this. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm going to open my book. I did have my, Yashodananda, I did get my eyes fixed from the bad vision, cataracts. It was really a mercy from my doctor, Sag Besson, that now I can read again. This is a very great blessing that was bestowed upon me. Introduction. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami had been in America 4 months when he began this 1966 diary of his daily notes and accounts. During the previous year, Srila Prabhupada had kept a record of his voyage from India, which has been published by the Bhaktivedanta Archives as the Jaladuta Diary. Okay, so we've just finished that. Srila Prabhupada later described the early part of the 1966 period recounted in this diary as one of hardship. Having no money or followers, nor the means to live independently, and often alone with limited opportunities for preaching, Srila Prabhupada sometimes contemplated going back to India. Srila Prabhupada's resolve is evidenced by the purchase of his first tape recorder, a major expenditure for him. He started recording his classes, kirtans, and bhajans. He wrote in his journal, there was no response of the visitors invited to come and join Hare Kirtan this evening at 7:30 p.m. But I alone executed the kirtan ceremony with TR till 10 p.m. Srila Prabhupada's presence in preserving his spoken word has resulted in a permanent legacy of over 2 hours of valuable tape recordings. So he had, just briefly, he had a dictaphone that he got. Back then, in the 60s, that's what the lawyers used. They'd use a dictaphone to make their letters, and then their secretary would type it out. So Prabhupada used this technology back then. Things are so much different nowadays. Despite austere circumstances, Srila Prabhupada had faith in his mission, and in the end was rewarded with unimaginable success. The Prabhupada biography is published in several languages, portrays many of these extraordinary events. However, the author of Limrita did not know the existence of the 66 diary, and so it omitted some episodes that Srila Prabhupada had dutifully recorded. Interesting. Along with a lot of other things that he commented on, which were not very attractive for us. The 1966 journal of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, presents for the first time the exact sequence of these seminal events and the specific details of the initial year of Srila Prabhupada's mission in the West. We have divided the journal section of the book into 3 chapters corresponding to the 3 places where Srila Prabhupada stayed in Manhattan. A summary of each chapter has been added to provide readers with insights into the events described. The editors have combined entries that are brief on the same page. Pages of the journal do not contain entries by Srila Prabhupada, are not reproduced. Each month begins with a highlights page that contains short excerpts from some of the pages of the diary to give it an at-a-glance view of the month. The epilogue narrates what happened to the Matchless Gift Shop after Srila Prabhupada left in the beginning of 1967 to go to the West Coast. How ISKCON New York eventually acquired the hallowed storefront, and the vibrant preaching activities presently taking place are also depicted. Very few pictures of Srila Prabhupada were taken in 1966 in New York City. Only the photo from newspaper articles and some excerpts from amateur 16mm films. Okay, there we are. Exist in the archives. Because most of these pictures were published previously in the Srila Prabhupada Limrita Volume 2, we have included some pictures taken after 66, which we feel evolved the mood of that year. This book includes other terms of interest, such as letters written to Srila Prabhupada cited in the journal. The replies to these letters are published elsewhere, so are not included. Wherever possible, we identify the persons Srila Prabhupada names in his journal. The first newspaper accounts about Srila Prabhupada and the impact of his activities are replicated. Also appended is a poem by Hayagriva Das, one of his early disciples, because it expresses the spirit of the early days on 2nd Avenue. It was to the care of Balimardhan Das that this journal, as well as Srila Prabhupada's 1965 Jaladuta diary, evolved in the early 70s. He deposited both diaries in a secure storage. When the Bhaktivedanta archives expressed interest in publishing them, Balimardhan Das lent the original books for reproduction. Eventually, these will be preserved and permanently displayed. I don't know where, but we gratefully acknowledge Janava Devi Dasi for her paintings, Bhaktin Alexandra for her drawings, Maya Priya Devi Dasi for the design and layout of the book, and cover Nanda Mukhi Devi Dasi for the epilogue, Brahmananda Das for editorial assistance. I got these books from Brahmananda. Bhakta and Martha for the events calendar, and all others who have helped to produce the publication. Excellent teamwork. The beginning, the 1966 journal of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is a personal chronicle of the founding of the Hare Krishna movement, the Western branch of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. This book is a true annal of the courage and purity of a saint, and we trust that it will inspire all who read it, the publishers. So thank you very much. We're going to move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and the class with His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu in Twain Harte, California, in the snowstorm. All glories to the Sankirtan mission.
Acharya Sattva Sarasmada Prasiddhanta Saraswati Bhushan Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद की जय, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, सौभीत भक्तविंद की जय. All glories to the assembled.
All glories.
All glories to the assembled.
Hare Krishna.
Yashanand Prabhu, you can go ahead.
My sound was cut off for a bit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam Mudirayat, Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad-gītā, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, as we do every week, and in the honor of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, we read the Sanskrit verses from the introduction to the Bhagavad-gītā as given by His Divine Grace on page number 1. We will be discussing from the 1972 Macmillan edition, the non-edited, non-adulterated version. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunathan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother, Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Sri Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we'll be reading from chapter 10 of the Bhagavad-gītā, text number 18 and 19, all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text number 18. I'll repeat one line of the Sanskrit, and if you are interested, you can repeat afterwards. Vishtarenatmano yogam, Vishtarenatmano yogam, Vibhutim cha janardana, Vibhutim cha janardana, Bhuyaha kataya triptirihi, Bhuyaha kataya triptirihi, Shrinvato nasti memritam, Shrinvato nasti memritam, Vistarena, in description, Atmanaha, of yourself, Yogam, mystic power, Vibhutim, opulences, Cha, also, Janardana, O killer of the atheist, Bhuyaha, again, Kataya, describe, Triptihi, satisfaction, He, certainly, Shrinvataha, hearing, Naasti, there is no, Me, my, Amritam, nectar. Translation. Tell me again in detail, O Janardana Krishna, of your mighty potencies and glories, for I never tire of hearing your ambrosial words. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A similar statement was made to Sutta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka. That statement is, Vayam tuna vitripyama uttamashloka vikrame yachrin vatam rasajnanam svadu svadu pade pade. One can never be satisfied even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by Vedic hymns. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish in every step the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. Thus, Arjuna is interested to hear about Krishna, specifically how he remains as the all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amritam, nectar, is concerned, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar, and this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fiction, and histories are different from the transcendental pastimes of the Lord in that one will tire of hearing mundane stories, but one never tires of hearing about Krishna. It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is replete with references to the pastimes of the incarnations of Godhead. For instance, the Puranas are histories of the bygone ages that relate to the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh, despite repeated readings. Text 19. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Antate katayishyami. Antate katayishyami. Divyahyatma vibhutayah. Divyahyatma vibhutayah. Pradhanyataha kuru sreshta. Pradhanyataha kuru sreshta. Nastyanto vistarasya me. Nastyanto vistarasya me. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Anta, yes, te, unto you, katayishyami, I shall speak, divyaha, divine, he, certainly, atma vibhutayaha, personal opulences, pradhanyataha, principally, kuru sreshta, O best of the kurus, naasti, there is no, antaha, limit, vistarasya, to the extent, me, my. Translation. The Blessed Lord said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. Purport. It is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual souls are imperfect and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to them as nectar. Thus they enjoy them. In discussing Krishna's opulences and his direst energies, The pure devotees take transcendental pleasure. Therefore, they want to hear and discuss them. Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The word pradanyataha, principle, is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord, for his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all. And vibhuti, as used in this verse, refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation. In the Amartakosha dictionary, it is stated that vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. The impersonalist or the pantheist cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestations of his divine energy. Both in the material world and in the spiritual world, his energies are distributed in every variety of manifestation. Now Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus, part of his variegated energy is described in this way. Om ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakayam chakshuran militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaham Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhagavad Vandanam Kadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Adadhanastrinam Dhanter Idam Yache Punaha Punaham Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarabata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Chat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here in this discussion on the Bhagavad-gītā, Lord Krishna is entering a new phase of his description of his transcendental activities and opulences. It's quite significant that Srila Prabhupada chose to quote a specific verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which explains the nature of hearing about Krishna, as it has been described by Srila Prabhupada many times. The message of Harikatha, or message of hearing about the transcendental personality of God in his activities and the activities of his incarnation in pure devotees, is called Amrita, or nectarian, or ambrosial. It is very pleasing, very special. That particular verse, Vayam tuna vitripyama Uttama shloka vikrame yat shrinvatam rasajnanam svadu svadu pade pade. This is quite significant because we see that the Srimad Bhagavatam describes that these activities are pleasant in every step. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish in every step descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. So we see here Arjuna is very interested. He wants to hear about these transcendental activities. Now, as we've seen on Sundays during our discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam, such messages have to be heard from bona fide authorized authorities. Otherwise, it will have an adverse effect. While it is definitely a fact that to hear about Krishna and his pastimes and activities is very pleasing, very nectarian, if one hears from non-authorized persons or professional reciters or professional so-called spiritual masters, the effect will be very different. Avaishnava mukut girnam putam hari katamritam. Sanatan Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Nihari Bhakti Vilas have warned that one should not hear the message of Harikatha from non-Vaishnavas. This is a very important point. Somebody may say, well, what is the harm there? They're talking about Krishna. But then the next sentence is given, Shravanam neva kartavyam, sarpochistam yatapayaha, just like milk that has been touched by the lips of a serpent. That milk becomes very poisonous. Sarpa uchista yatapayaha, very dangerous. In other words, there will be an adverse effect, a poisonous effect. So there are so many warnings given in the Shastras and commentaries of the Acharyas that one should hear Harikatha from authorized person. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has given the warning, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastrakoi, that all the Shastras, all the scriptures advise to associate with saintly persons. But somebody will say, what will be the benefit of that? The benefit will be Sarva Siddhi Hoy. One will achieve all perfection. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha. That even if one associates with a saintly person for a split second, Prabhupada describes in his purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the word lavamatra is 1/11 of a second. Sarva Siddhi, that one will be positively influenced by the association of a pure devotee. We all know that Srila Prabhupada many times described the benefits of hearing from his transcendental books. Prabhupada said if they just touch the book, they would be benefited. In another place it has been described, even if they just keep the book in their houses, they'll be benefited. Another place, even if they read one page from the book, they'll be benefited. That is the potency of association with the personality of Godhead. So the next question will be, somebody say, well, why is it so potent? Because the message of Bhagavad-gītā, the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, is non-different than Krishna himself. We see that when the sages of Naimisharanya assembled to discuss how the living entities would be benefited in the age of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, they started to discuss that Krishna is now departed for his abode. Krishna swadhamo pagate dharmagyana adibi saha, along with religion and everything. So how will living entities be benefited now? they will be benefited by the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam on that verse that the Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different than Krishna himself. Same thing for Bhagavad-gītā. In 1968, in a lecture in Montreal, Prabhupada said the message of Bhagavad-gītā is non-different than it was 5,000 years ago. Krishna is directly present in the pages of Bhagavad-gītā. Just yesterday, as I was preparing for this class and reading, there was one nice lecture of Srila Prabhupada, where Prabhupada said, you should read this Bhagavad-gītā, every purport and word for word, every word. Why is it so important? Because it is directly spoken by Krishna himself. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So many verses are spoken directly by Krishna himself. That is the power of Krishna's message. And the power of the message of Srila Prabhupada is that he's directly experiencing the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. There was an interesting conversation in 1976 in New York where one reporter was questioning Srila Prabhupada about his organization and his movement, of how does he know whom to choose for specific positions. So one devotee suggested that when he makes a decision, that means that his intelligence is given by Krishna. I'm paraphrasing here. And Prabhupada interrupted at one point. He says, no, Krishna will tell him directly to the pure devotee. That is the difference between the neophyte sadhaka, or a practitioner, whether it's a practitioner on the third class or second class platform, and the fully realized, completely realized pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. That direct, uninterrupted connection with Krishna. Every week, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we read a few verses from the first canto, second chapter, where we keep hearing, Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. The advice is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The reason this is quoted is because, as we have discussed previously, there are so many warnings not to associate with professional reciters, businessmen, so many sahajiyas, caste Brahmin, caste Goswami, so many nonsense people who carry on the business of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad-gītā for personal profit or family maintenance. So why the warning is given? Now we have heard from Hari Bhaktivilas. This can be very injurious. On the other hand, the advice is given that one should hear from authorized persons, those who are actually in the bona fide line of disciplic succession. What does that mean, to be in the bona fide line of disciplic succession? Acharyavan Purusho Veda. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is described that one who has taken shelter of the Acharya, that means he has understood everything. Well, taking shelter, one has to be enlightened by the knowledge. We just saw 2 classes ago in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is given in one purport, is explaining that one should associate with a sadhu not by seeing, but by hearing. This is very important, because there's a philosophy going these days that you should associate with a sadhu, simply one who is living. Well, you don't approach a guru just because he is living, because he's breathing. You approach to get transcendental knowledge, to get spiritual enlightenment. And that also has to be done with a proper mindset. The Bhagavad-gītā describes the mindset is service and surrender, not simply useless or absurd inquiries. One has to approach with a mindset of humility and submission. Then there will be proper understanding. then one will spiritually benefit. Otherwise, if it's simply for show or a matter of fashion that everybody is accepting such and such guru, he is very popular, let me also accept, that is not the proper understanding. And it doesn't matter whether one is a newcomer or an experienced devotee or senior devotee, that has nothing to do with it. The mindset that has to be developed is submissive oral reception. That is the mindset that these 60,000 sages at Namahatta had when they were inquiring from Sutta Goswami. They wanted to know, they were eager to hear what happened with Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. What happened in that recitation of Bhagavatam? This was a very big event, as we've discussed. So many great sages from higher planets, different demigods, different great personalities from all over the universe came to this planet, came to this Bharata Bhumi to hear this message from Shukadev Goswami. And those great sages were very eager to hear what happened. This was such a big event that the emperor of the world gave up everything to hear this message. So this is important. Those who are not in the proper line of disciplic succession, who defy and disobey the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, by concocting and manufacturing their own speculative interpretations, they're not in the proper line of disciplic succession. They're in a line of mental speculation, and that does not produce a good result. How else could these people dare? How they dare to say that Prabhupada was an employee of their corporation? What kind of nonsense is that? That Prabhupada was a worker for hire for them? That shows you the level of understanding of these people who are not connected with the bona fide disciplic succession as given by Srila Prabhupada. Now people will say, well, why are we talking about this? To give you a warning. Let me give you an example. Right now in California, there are some places where there are massive snowstorms, and the government is giving warnings, blaring warnings everywhere. Careful, if you go on some of these roads, you're going to need chains. Some of these roads may be closed because there are passes from Central California to go over the Sierra Nevadas, and the snow and the storms can be quite strong, quite disturbing. There is a place in California called Truckee, and sometimes they get 8-9 feet of snow. There's a Lake Tahoe. They have big warnings, major problems. So there are warnings given. Be careful. Don't go there. If you have to go there, you're going to have to bring some chains on your tires. You may not be able to go through. The road may be closed. That is why there are so many warnings by Srila Prabhupada. For example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 9th canto, Prabhupada said there are many karmis in the dress of devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead detects them. I'm paraphrasing. So we have to be aware of these warnings by the Acharya so we can follow the Acharya properly. I'm going to leave it at that and turn it to Vishwakarma Prabhu for some discussion with some other learned Prabhus. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, it is a mystery to understand Krishna. Why? Because of his inconceivable potencies. We are living entities, and we are burdened by this material body and the bewildered subtle body. The human body, however, is very valuable, for we are capable of understanding the purpose of human life with it. The other species are not capable to take advantage of their birth. It is only through the human birth. So this opportunity to associate with Srila Prabhupada, as you have so nicely explained to us, is a great boon for us, considering the time and place and circumstances that we're in. So Prabhupada appeared in the 60s with this great mission that he had, which was to produce these literatures, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad-gītā, for everyone's benefit. And it is extremely important that people understand his transcendental position as the bona fide spiritual master that can reveal to us the science of Krishna consciousness. I was thinking of Shoda Prabhu as well. How Prabhupada explains about consciousness, that we, each individual person, are conscious of our own pains and pleasures. Like, in other words, if I pinch my hand, you can't feel it. So in the same way, we are also individually connected to our spiritual master through the process of devotional service. And can you really explain to somebody else how much you understand your relationship with your spiritual master, how much Krishna has revealed him to you by the grace of the spiritual master? Not really. It's not possible, because everyone is on their own. This is one thing that Prabhupada explained. You can fly, you're flying your own plane. Some people are flying above the clouds, some people are flying below the clouds. So like that, below the clouds means you're engaged in the material world. And above the clouds, you're in the transcendental world. So, you know, that's up to each individual. We have to be the judge of our own efforts in Krishna consciousness. And like I was saying earlier, this is a Namahatta program, a program where you practice what you preach at your home. And in this way, you can share this information with other people. And in this way, you get blessed by Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada, because Prabhupada's mission was to share the truth with others. And so if we're all ambassadors, like you were discussing so beautifully, purely representing his teachings without personal motivation, then this truth will expand without contamination. Nowadays, the truth has become adulterated to the point that his movement has deteriorated down to a series of groups, individual sannyasi groups, individual guru groups, individual personality cults, which are just spreading, proliferating all over the world because the people are using Prabhupada's tools for their own personal motive. And this is unfortunate. We have some very interesting people with us today. Yashodanandana. Janis Priya in Hawaii is with us, Dharma Bhavana. And we have Kanta, who asked an interesting question earlier on the chat. Well, I believe he's in Trinidad. We'll ask him to speak. Let's start off with Janis Priya. Janis Priya Prabhu, have you got anything to add to today's discussion? Okay. I thought I saw him. Dharma Bhavana. Maybe you could share some insights for us.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare
we had a very basic, but still really interesting discussion so far. How if we're hearing from Krishna Katha, that there's a big difference between hearing from someone who is kind of blessed by Krishna, authorized by the Supreme Lord in Parampara, and someone who is not in that situation. And I was just contemplating how when Lord Krishna was here, 5,000 years ago, he displayed certain activities which indicate how he is the Supreme Lord. We could not duplicate those activities, but hear about his activities. In other pastimes of the Supreme Lord, for example, in Dwarka, he woke up early and meditated upon himself. he performed those activities to set a good example for other devotees to follow. And or say, for example, in the 10th canto, we describe how the Supreme Lord, he associated with the gopis, and these were sometimes married to other men. So this is a very transcendental activity, and the 9 cantos of the Bhagavatam are to help us understand how the Supreme Lord is very different from an ordinary living entity, and he can do things that we cannot do.
Yes.
So sometimes if we're not properly trained in devotional service, we may hear about the Supreme Lord doing these activities, and we may think, oh, I can do like this too. But the hearing process, like we're doing here Saturday morning, even reading Bhagavad-gītā, is it meant to help us differentiate which activities we can follow and which activities we should not dare follow. We just understand them as the Lord's pastimes. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
You know, one thing I wanted to mention, Yashoda Prabhu, is we have a chance through social media to see other people preaching. You do. If you're in social media. If you're not, then it's not a defect. It's just a preference. Because you can always concentrate on hearing Prabhupada through his books by studying them. But I had a chance to hear one of these people from the ISKCON group preaching yesterday. And I sort of painstakingly listened. It was hard. I wanted to see if they were repeating the philosophy in the same way that Prabhupada did, because Prabhupada did it in a certain way, just like a lawyer. When the lawyer is in the court, he'll quote law. He does not just make up the law, because they look at precedent. So you go in, you argue your point, and then you give the precedent in order to enable the judge or the jury to understand this is how it was decided before, and this is how you should decide now. So in the same way, Prabhupada is a transcendental lawyer. Every time he speaks, he presents the verse or the story about a previous pastime to justify what he's saying now is true. It's an art. Prabhupada has mastered the system of presenting the philosophy, and he learned it from his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. It's like Janas Priya, who we'll ask to speak in a minute. He always refers to the fact that Prabhupada is basically repeating what Bhaktisiddhanta said as close as possible. And in a particular case, I was listening to this speech by this ISKCON guru, and it was absolutely mental speculation without question. Not because I'm fault finding. We're discriminating. We discriminate. We have intelligence. We're not fools. And especially the senior godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada, who were trained by him personally, understood there are a lot of people that have used this philosophy for their own personal purposes, and this is unfortunate. So these messages that we're discussing today are very important, and people would say, well, why do you keep going over this? Well, we're not going over it. This is the philosophy. And the protection of the disciplic succession is part of the teaching. You have to learn this and be discriminate. And then you carry on, you keep studying, you keep chanting, you keep doing the process. In this way, your own devotional service will grow by the mercy of the pure devotees. So we have Janas Priya. Prabhu, I think your microphone is working now from Hawaii.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol,
Glories to
my
Prabhupada.
humble obeisances. Aloha.
Aloha.
Just trying to understand Krishna, Prabhupada's phrase, this phrase, just try to understand. It's one of Prabhupada's most famous phrases. So how could we try to understand Krishna? Tadviri pari pratena. Through the Guru, through Srila Prabhupada, and we're so lucky that we have such an amazing guru. And Prabhupada not only tell us about Krishna, he tell us how to get to know Krishna. And Prabhupada says, if you want to love somebody, if you want to understand somebody, what you need to do, you need to get to know him. So how do you get to know somebody? You talk to them, you interact with them. So we interact by reading Prabhupada's books, original books, because that's the only way. We don't want to drink milk that has been poisoned. So we take the pure milk from the pure lips of the pure devotee. So when you got all these things lined up, then the real truth will come. And on my personal case, I don't worry so much of understanding Krishna. I just need to follow the instructions, chant my rounds properly, associate with the proper people. And this will bring all the answers that we need, every single answer we need. People often ask all these far out questions, very intricate about whatever. And I tell them, look, these questions are very interesting. They're very, very advanced. But in our state, we first have to understand that we first have to start acting on the platform that we're not this body. Once we get that down, then the knowledge will start coming in through our ear by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And we keep on reading these books. We keep on reading and we keep on reading. And the more that we read, the more we understand. And Prabhupada is so kind that he expands. It's like when you're reading Bhagavad-gītā or any Prabhupada book, you're in one verse and you'll have questions. And then 90% of the time, you know, next verse, he's going to explain your question. And that's true. We know that we keep on reading, everything becomes revealed. So hearing from the pure devotee in the form of reading or hearing Prabhupada's audio tapes, Prabhupada is just imparting so much knowledge. And we just have to have the humble attitude and our heart open, and then these things will start happening slowly because it's a process. But if we continue on this path, it's guaranteed that it doesn't matter how uneducated or how fallen one might be, if one keeps on this process, it is guaranteed that eventually that love of Krishna within our heart will awaken. And simply by reading any of these verses, we could start crying because we're so much into it. And we're waiting for that mercy. We're begging for this mercy. My understanding is that one should never be happy with his spiritual level, his knowledge. We should always be trying to learn a little more each day. We should try to chant one extra round a year. With our birthday, if you chanting 16 rounds at your 70, when you're 71, then you chant 17, and every year you chant one more round. So eventually you'll be chanting whatever many years you live. So this hearing and chanting is the most important. And as everybody mentioned here, we have to listen from the right source because this is the most important fact. Hare Krishna.
That's true. And Prabhupada would tell us that the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. So when you are connected to the spiritual master properly, then the result will be there and you'll experience it from within. This is a program for self-discipline and training. This is not a program for becoming a celebrity in life. There is no celebrity here, and we are insignificant. And I thought today, Yashoda Prabhu, in the talk that, and the purports that Prabhupada is revealing to us the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. So you look at that, you see how powerful Krishna is. You see how insignificant we are, and then you can realize You just have to stay trinadapi sunichena, humble, of course, humble. The reason why is because Vijay Pandit, you know who you are. You understand you're an insignificant speck in the universe struggling to get out of this entanglement that we're currently in. It's a mystery. We have this Prabhu, I believe Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, do you have an access to your microphone? Kṛṣṇa, you asked a very interesting question. I thought we could bring it up here. Yashoda, could you further comment then for us?
Well, I saw his question, and basically my basic approach to answer this question, is a quote that is given by Srila Prabhupada, an explanation that Prabhupada gives in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 1899. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 1899. Prabhupada explained, one must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna or Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. Okay, everything is cut off here. A sincere person is able to see Krishna through the transparent via-meridian of Sri Guru Deva, the spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident at Kaliyadaha is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. And I guess my point is, those persons who claim to have been either appointed or succeeding Srila Prabhupada, they could not keep his legacy intact. The first thing they did is claim to have been appointed as successors, which has been shown to be erroneous. But then the most damaging thing is when they started to change his teaching. They could not repeat his teachings as they are, as it is. We just don't read Bhagavad-gītā. We read Bhagavad-gītā as it is. That means that the words of the Acharya cannot be changed, cannot be re-edited and again changed. That is not acceptable. So those who claim to be so-called in a disciplic succession, who changed the words of the Acharya, they could not be enlightened by Prabhupada's instruction. Do not change anything. Present it as it is. Do not manufacture. They could not follow that. And we see here, Prabhupada is explaining, unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. That's why these individuals are claiming that Prabhupada was an employee of their corporation. That's how foolish and how disassociated from the real message of Srila Prabhupada they have become, unfortunately. So one should submissively hear from the Acharya. Hare Krishna.
It's just like going to the hospital. We've talked about this. You go for a cure from the expert physician or surgeon. That's how you get the best result. So when you see the business of other people, and it's not specifically one person, there in all different groups, there seems to be this disease, Yashoda Prabhu, Nandana Prabhu, is this constant individual striving for position or popularity. Like there was in Christianity, there was Jim Baker. Years ago, he was a Christian preacher. He became very successful. He had big temples, big facility, jet planes. Jimmy Swaggart, that was another preacher of the past. They've got this Joel Osteen, who built this $10 million church in Texas. So people look at success. They go, oh my God, we've got this big building. Nowadays, it's becoming in the ISKCON group, these individual ISKCON sannyasis and gurus, they're building their own little empires. They gather some followers, they gather money, and then they build their retreats, let's put it that way, or their residences, private residences. There's a devotee in South Africa. He's got this apartment. It's like a 3,000 square foot marble apartment. He's a sannyasi, by the way, and he did a tour online. He goes around. Here's my kitchen. Look at this these tools. Here's my bedroom, by the way. Oh, here's my meeting room. Certainly wasn't Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami living under a different tree. It's a guy, understandably, times have changed, but still, nonetheless, is renunciation there? Is that what it is? You get on a plane and fly everywhere according to your whim? Spend Krishna's money without any checks and balances on what you do? Is that Krishna consciousness? No. This is the reality of everything, everyone. This is not fault finding. People criticize us. Oh, you're fault finding. You say the same things. We're not saying the same thing all the time. We're discussing philosophy of reality in 2024. That's as simple as it is. So, we hope people understand this from the proper perspective. We're here to give you a direction so that you get the most benefit, because this is a Namahatta program. That's what it is. Not institutionalized religion. We're not here to build buildings and collect donations. No. We're here to promote the philosophy of Prabhupada's pure message to other people. We've got a couple of messages that came in here. Let me look and see. Hawaii, very nice and transparent class. Thank you all. I was mentioning to you, Yashoda Prabhu, I see you sent me a nice message yesterday of another person congratulating us on our efforts. Thank you. That's what we say, thank you. And by the way, we'll continue on with the discussion. I wanted to mention that our newsletter, after many months of effort, has finally started to manifest. So if any of you are interested in getting the newsletter, you can go to our Hare Krishna Society YouTube page or other contact information, and have your name put on our database so you can get these weekly newsletters with lots of transcendental information about the science of Krishna consciousness. Here it is here. Thank you. Look at that. So this is the calendar. I know that we're using the Mayapur calendar. There's so much confusion on when Ekadasi comes. So we're going to be putting this out as part of our information to the devotees that are in this Namahatta program. So go ahead, come down here. So here we are. When's the next Ekadasi, Prabhu? Just go back up. So because the 7th, it was the 7th, and then the 21st. Okay, everyone. So it's the 21st for the next Ekadasi. And look at how nice all of the important dates are outlined here for us. So there's no confusion on what you're doing. And then we've got the list there of in the issue, all the different specific programs or discussions. Explains the exalted position of Jiva Goswami, and just showed Prabhu we have a program going on at Sacramento in that regards. The position of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Here's our weekly, Go ahead, keep scrolling down for us. Thank you. So you can see this is the newsletter. Now, if you want people to get the newsletter, you can include their name in our mail out, and then we'll be sure to include them so that they can get this information. So our main focus is to educate people on the truth, not anything else. There's no other motive here. So it goes down, keep going down. And you'll see at the bottom, you'll be able to read this when you get it. You can get it's quite good. And then at the bottom, we have the information on how to come to our classes. So there they are there. Keep going. It's streamed on YouTube and the Hare Krishna Society. And then I try to put it up on the Prabhupada Disciples. I think we're on Facebook as well. So you can get the link there and you can watch it there. We get more people watching it there, and we're getting hundreds and hundreds of views every class. So here it is. Join the mailing list, the YouTube channel, the website, the Facebook page, the WhatsApp community, and the Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook group. We get about 30 or 40,000 views a month there. So there's hundreds of thousands of messages going out into the society at large to help other people take up this mission, a Dharma Bhavana. And then we're going to have an invitation card too, which is going to be available. You'll be able to print it in your local area, which you can give out to people when you meet them to invite them to come to the program and get some more opportunity for genuine association with Prabhupada disciples. It was very, very progressive, our work. And we're going to expand it this year. So if anyone is interested in participating with us, you're more than welcome to reach out and speak to us about what we're doing. Any last comments, Yashoda, please, for us here at this morning's Bhagavad-gītā talk?
I would let the floor be open to Dr. from Florida, or Dr. Nilesh Prabhu. So
Yeah.
maybe you can ask him to speak. He always has some very interesting questions.
I'm sorry I missed his hand when it went up. It went up and came down. Nilesh Prabhu, the man in motion. I don't know if he's here still. Let's see. I can't see looks like some people dropped out. Yeah, looks like he dropped out, Yashoda.
Okay.
For now, it's it may have had
Maybe you
something
can
else.
ask, if Puranjan is still there, you could ask him if he has any comments.
I didn't see him today.
He was there for a while.
Oh.
Hello, Haribo.
Okay, yeah, Haribo.
I come and go, but I'm here at the moment. But
Up and down.
yeah, just like every material thing. But this person asked a question: if I accept someone who is materially conditioned, can he be an eternal spiritual master? And the answer to that is no, because anything that's material is not eternal. Everything material disintegrates over time. So if we accept anything that's even partially tinged with material, it is not fully spiritual. But I was having a real crazy conversation with an ISKCON person, which is pretty normal. And they were saying, in order to understand Krishna, we need a living master. And I said, well, the first stage of spiritual consciousness, before we go to Goloka Vrindavan and all that stuff, that's way beyond, where we are at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But before we come to that stage, we need to have the basic super soul realization that Krishna is localized with all living beings, including myself. So I said, your eternal masters are going to porno shows. They're going to Reno, gambling. They're having affairs with disciples. I said, why would you take the super soul on a journey to Reno gambling? Why would you do that? If you knew the super soul was accompanying you at all times, you would not be taking the super soul to a porno show. You would not. So they have not understood the basic, preliminary stages. So yeah, we want to eventually get to Krishna Loka and all that, but before you even discuss that, you need to understand the localized aspect of the Lord. And they clearly have not, because they wouldn't be conducting these malefic activities if they even had the basic clue that Krishna is accompanying them at all times and is the witness of all their behaviors. And therefore, Krishna will eventually hold them accountable for bad behaviors. So they're denying the existence of the super soul, and at the same time they're going to take you to Krishna Loka. That's not possible. So they didn't have a very good response for that, but that's unfortunately what's going on. People are going here and there, obviously not realizing the super soul is accompanying, and the super soul will hold them accountable for all of their activities, good or bad. And if they're doing bad things, which they are, the result is they will stay conditioned in the material world, and they will not liberate themselves, never mind liberate you or somebody else. Haribol.
Yes, and I wanted to further say, I'm going to ask Yashoda to speak in a minute, but the fact of the matter is that it's a disease. This is a disease that's permeating the Vaishnava community. And therefore, it is important that people are careful when they associate with these people, because they will become contaminated as well. That's one problem that we're having with a lot of people that we've met over the last so many years, that they're so corrupted by the ISKCON world that they cannot differentiate between what is good and what is bad. And Yashoda gives this example of retraining someone. It's more expensive. Give the story, Yashoda, as the last antidote for today's class about retraining somebody.
Yeah, Prabhupada explains in one conversation, there was a music school in Europe, in Germany, where the fee or the price for students would be more expensive if somebody had obtained previous training from a different school or different system of music. And so one student objected, why should I pay so much since I already know so much? And they told him, no, because we have to spend more time with you to make you forget everything you've learned before you can study this method. So Krishna consciousness is like that. You've got to give up all previous misconceptions, all previous false ideas, all previous misunderstandings before you can really understand the proper teachings in disciplic succession. And what we're facing now is so many people who've been victimized and indoctrinated with falsehoods, false ideas, and misunderstanding, not based on Prabhupada's original teaching. And this is not just on one topic, it's on everything. Whether it's deity worship, offering boga, how to accept a spiritual master, what is an original teachings of Prabhupada, everything has been gradually polluted. It's only been 46 years since Prabhupada departed, and we see how much changing has taken place, unauthorized changes has taken place by whimsical persons. Prabhupada complained about this problem, that we saw that a great institution was lost by whimsical ways. Prabhupada was referring to the institution of his Guru Maharaj. So we see the great danger that is facing Prabhupada's movement by whimsical ways, whimsical individual and unauthorized nonsense. And the foremost of these things is these changing of the books. What to speak of the misbehavior against devotees. Prabhupada was very careful to accommodate persons, give them a chance to reform themselves, to purify themselves. But we've seen in our movement a group of fanatics and sahajiyas who insist that their interpretation is to be accepted, otherwise they're shown the door or kicked out or banning, beating, suing, and all the nonsense. And it's still going on today. So people have to be aware of what is going on and not sentimental. They have to really look at the facts and see what is going on and hear from Prabhupada's original books and those who present and promote Srila Prabhupada's eternal presence in his books. Very important.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's the institutionalization of an organization that can create problems. And, you know, I think that all the groups, whether it's the Christian group or a Hindu group or a Muslim group or the ISKCON group, the institutionalization of it, the so-called grandiose construction of big buildings and the success of thousands and thousands of so-called disciples is very superficial to the truth. The truth is in sound vibration, pure sound vibration coming from the pure devotee. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. We're going to move forward now with the kirtan to end the program. And thank you very much for attending, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Canada and the U.S. So you can mark it down in your calendar globally what time it will be for you. And we look forward to your participation in our what we call very active and dynamic discussions of the reality of the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's move for the kirtan. Yes, Yashoda, sorry, please.
Tomorrow the program will be from Sacramento, California. At 7 in the morning and 10:30 in the morning. We'll be having the celebration of Jiva Goswami Prabhupada's disappearance day. We'll be reading about Jiva Goswami from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we'll have a special event at 11:40 in the morning. We will show how to offer the bhoga according to Prabhupada standards, something which is well known to most people in this program, but it'll be recorded as a special event as part of this program. So we invite everybody to come and participate again. After this program is done today, I'll be leaving for Modesto in Sacramento and be meeting with Bhaktiram Singh and organizing the program. We invite everybody to join, and we thank everybody for participating.
Glories to the Sankirtan movement
Hare
of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Haribol. Kirtan, please.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating. Hare Krishna.